Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Embrace your real identity. I hope you're sitting on the edge of your seat because today we are going to be speaking about a winning strategy for those of you who are people of God. Being a Christian is about a lot of things, but one of the most critical features of the life of a Christian is your identity. We come across a very interesting story in Acts chapter 11. The writer said that because of the persecution of growing numbers of Jews who had become followers of Christ in Jerusalem, many of them fled that city and went all over the known world trying to avoid the persecution. Well, some of them ended up in a place called Antioch, the third largest city in the Roman Empire. Antioch, which is now present-day Turkey, was a metropolis with numerous subcultures and people from different parts of the empire who settled there because of the diverse economy and culture. Some of the followers of Christ who found safety in Antioch could not keep still, and they started to evangelize to non-Jewish Antioch citizens. Word got back to Jerusalem, and the apostles sent Barnabas to stop them from sharing the gospel with non-Jewish people. But catch this. Barnabas brought in some other disciples, including Saul, and over the period of a whole year, these senior followers of Jesus preached and taught the people of Antioch about Jesus. Now you're going to be excited by this one line. The disciples were called Christians first at Antioch. Acts 11, verse 19 to 26. Can you believe it? This name that we have come to embrace in the 21st century, Christian, was used to identify people who were followers of Jesus for the first time in Antioch. But the irony is that this precious name came about in a heathen city. I have to confess that I told you all of this about Antioch and the name Christian because of what we are going to talk about today. Embrace your real identity. The believers must have benefited from the teachings by the more senior disciples who came down to Antioch to teach them how to be good and effective followers of Christ. And the name Christian became the appropriate name given to them so as to distinguish them from other religious groups in the city. Let me therefore talk to Christians today. I'm hoping that you're proud to be called a Christian who is a follower of Christ. Come with me over to Romans 12, and I want to read verses 1 and 2. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. Pay attention now to verse 2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Verse 2 is a no-brainer, right? There is no need to give us strict instructions on how we ought to behave because we are born again and we know that we are different. Is that so? Listen to this. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light. One more. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them, for they are not of the world any more than I am of the world. My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one. John 17, verses 14 and 15. All I'm saying is not to get defensive about Romans 12, verse 2. It is important that we are told over and over again, as Christians, do not conform to the world, meaning the practices and the culture of the world, because that is not supportive of your new identity as a Christian. Always remember, we're Christians who are living in the world, a place of darkness, Satan's territory, and as such we do not want to take on the culture of the world. If you do, then you are denying your new identity, which requires of you that your identity must shine through. Remember what Jesus said back in Matthew 5, verse 16? Let your light shine before men. So what should we do? After all, we are living in the world until Jesus comes. So how do we avoid conforming to the world? Certainly, Jesus doesn't expect us to be weirdos in the world. Dress weird, look weird, speak weird, do weird stuff like going to church 8 times each week and so forth. Certainly not. But the writer offers us a strong and viable alternative. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. No, let me put it together. And do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That is the top recommendation for today. That is a mind thing. That is an intellectual thing. That is a matter of being intentional. I am going to be a true Christian. The writer is saying to us, make this a top priority, that you are going to think like a Christian, walk like a Christian, talk like a Christian, be a Christian in a non-Christian world. I am going to make a conscious effort to not be found doing the worldly lifestyle, because that is darkness. That is what we used to do before we became Christians. We are going to consciously choose to live according to our new identity. And that new identity says that I am in the world, but I am not of the world. Here in South Florida, where I live, there is a very large and strong Hispanic community, and most of them have become American citizens who have lived here for long periods of time. Yet, within the Hispanic community, they choose to retain their Hispanic culture. So they choose to speak Spanish over English. They have Hispanic festivals all the time, celebrating their music, their cuisine, their dress. They insist on embracing their Hispanic identity, although they are living in a non-Hispanic country. There is one big advantage to you. If you do not conform to the world, if you choose instead to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, you will find yourself living in the will of God. Hooray for that. Let us therefore end today's conversation by saying it is not automatic to be a true Christian in today's world, but it is absolutely critical and beneficial. And I'm going to make that my priority, to be transformed by the renewing of my mind. So help me God.